Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been a hot minute since I have done any of my dream French country kitchen renovations, and you know what? It's time for me to get back into that project. So today I am gonna head over to Lowe's, grab a few things that I need, and we're gonna come back to the house and get this kitchen going. Trust me, this pocket change renovation is resuming, and it's one you don't want to miss, so don't go anywhere.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane.
I pulled into Lowe's and I've got my list. I just need to grab a few things. I already went to my local decorating center and picked up my beautiful color of Benjamin Moore paint for my cabinets. There's some flooring here that definitely gives the French country vibes I want to look at. I need to grab some hardware, and I need to get some lights for Scott for his shop that he's out. So let's run into Lowe's really quick because I want to get back home and get this going. It's been a long time and I'm really excited. Well, the flooring is not something they keep in stock, so I'm going to have to order that back at home, and I'll have it shipped to the store. Not a big deal. I'll have that in a couple of days. I did find handles. They are not the right color, but Rub and Buff is going to get them there for me. And I did actually kind of unexpectedly pick out a new kitchen faucet, which I hope my husband doesn't kill me for because it was quite expensive, but it's really beautiful, and I think it's going to make a huge difference. I know that doesn't kind of jive with the pocket change, but I really needed a new faucet, and with all the money I'm saving in other places, I think a little splurge like this is called for. So let's get home and let's get some of these projects going. I need to see this kitchen make progress. It's just been way too long. I'm gonna be honest, I have never in my life changed a faucet in my kitchen, in my bathroom, nothing. Scott wanted to call our plumber, I'm not even kidding, and just have him come by and put it in, and I'm like, no way, I can totally do this. So I searched YouTube for the how-tos, I watched it, it does seem pretty easy, so I'm gonna try this. And please don't let it go wrong, because Scott will never let me live this down. So first thing I gotta do is clean out the sink, get this area clean and ready, and clean out the underneath because I need a workspace. I gotta be able to get under there and get to things. The handle, picked it out, it's gorgeous. I'm obsessed. It was a bit expensive. I figured everything I'm saving by doing a lot of this work myself and revisioning and repurposing and upcycling furniture and pieces to become part of my custom kitchen is worth it. And I think the impact, just changing the faucet, keeping the sink, but changing the faucet is going to make an absolutely huge difference over here. It's going to look fabulous. It's going to look so different. And I did actually order the Retique wood kit. The wood grain that I did on my island, I'll link that video above. You will not believe what you can turn into wood grain with this kit. Well, I bought that, and I'm going to do this counter to match that. So everything kind of has that butcher block look, which is totally French country. That is an absolute French country feature, and it's going to look great, and it is so budget friendly. $111 with a coupon that I had, and I think it does 50 square feet, and I don't even have 50 square feet here. So I have plenty to do when I get to the other side as well, and I'll be able to really budget these counters out with a high impact. But for now, I'm going to clean out under the sink. And there's a lot of crap, let me tell you.
I don't know about your house, but underneath my sink is awful. It's embarrassing. It is a huge mess. Everything is just piled onto itself. I have a really bad habit of loving to buy cleaning supplies. I love having all these different potions for different surfaces under my sink with all of these amazing smells, and I just overdo it. I'm gonna own it. I overdo it. Shocker, right? So I have to pull all of this out, but I have been avoiding this area for the longest time for this reason, and this is forcing me to do it, which is actually really good. I'm going to go through all of this stuff. I am going to get rid of some of the emptier containers, some of the things I've never touched. And I have to tell you, underneath this sink is kind of scary. It's from the 1960s. There's really old linoleum. There is this foam, as you can see on the side, that expands and grows and kind of looks wild, but it's hard as a rock. I have an outlet under there for my dishwasher, which now that I'm kind of thinking about it, I want my electrician to come look at that because shouldn't that kind of be a safety? I'm pretty sure it should be because there's water under there, and water and electricity don't mix. So I'm gonna have Scott call Todd and find out about upgrading that. Now, I've never done this before. It does look pretty straightforward. I don't know how I am gonna get under here to get to this to do it, but I am going to give it my best try. I have to get to the way back, and we have this center board, and it is not much space for me to squeeze in, but I really don't have a choice here. I've come this far. I am not giving up on my French faucet. It is going in. I'm going to shut off the hot and cold water valves underneath the sink, and then I'm going to check above and make sure they are in fact off. You do want to open them up anyways. You want to burp the line and get whatever water might be in there out before you start doing your project and it dumps on your face. I'm not going to lie. This outlet so close to the cold water line makes me nervous. So I'm actually going to take a towel and roll it up, and using the stiff bottom part of the line that's made of plastic, I'm going to kind of shove it in there between the outlet and the hose itself just to really make sure I don't get any water in there. Electrocuting myself is not part of the plan, nor is it on today's schedule, and I am sticking to the plan and the schedule and taking every safety precaution I can to avoid any accidents.
So excited to see this. Oh yeah. It's gonna sit like that. You have about that tall on the back side. Guys, I love it. I love the brushed brass. It is absolutely beautiful. It's hot. This is cold. And I'm going to have to read the directions to find out what these two are. One is definitely force for the sprayer. I don't know. I have to read up. I think they connect together, but, yeah, I'm pretty sure they do connect together. But we'll get there when we get there. It says first thing to do is take this out. So I have to get under there and get this out.
I don't know who thought up this size and designed this, but all I have to say is this is an epic fail. Like, I barely fit. This is awful. Well, now that I'm a contortionist and shoved way to the back of this so that I can see behind the sink, I do not think there is any way possible I'm going to be able to get this off. because of the position, I can't get leverage. I can't get a tool in there. It's not an average shape. It's not a nut. It is a special plumber's something or other holding this 35-year-old faucet in place. And this is not looking good. And I know it. And not many people are going to fit into this spot to try to help me out. Like this, what did I do? What have I started? I'm so glad this is a voiceover because there are a lot of four-letter words flying out of my mouth right now. This is so hard. Scott's never gonna let me live this down. Ugh, this is a nightmare. I tried for 55 minutes and I made no progress whatsoever. So I was forced to go out and post Scott from the auto body shop and beg him for his help here because I cannot get this out. And as you can see, this spot really sucks to get into. I called my brother Levi to come over and help. He was able to get off all of the connections. The idea in my head of a nice, quick and easy faucet changeover in reality turned into a 4 hour and 52-minute ordeal getting this off, but it's off. At first glance, I thought all this was mouse poop, but quickly realized that was absolutely impossible, and it's just years of disgusting crud I have to clean. And I don't have water right here, but I do have lots of wonderful potions, so I'm going to use a few of them and some paper towels and clean this area up really good, getting it ready for the new faucet. I bought a soap pump for the fourth hole, and I know what you're thinking. It's a totally different finish than the new faucet is, but this was intentional. I wanted it this finish, and I'll explain the method to my madness after. But for now, I just want to get it in its spot and then get this faucet. And I'm going to need to put down the new brass plating and stand this up. But what I quickly come to realize is this is a super, super heavy faucet, and I actually need the aid of someone else to hold it so that it can be secured into place.
Love this, you guys. Oh, it's gonna look so good. Because I have to put the base washers on from underneath and tighten it, I definitely need a second set of hands, so I'm actually gonna go get Scott. I don't have a choice. I love it. I really do.
Scott chose to hold the faucet in place, and I went under the sink to thread the support on. This went much easier than the taking off process because all of this beautiful brass is brand new. Everything's screwed on nice and easy. It was very easy getting into the spot to get it secure and tight. The most stressing part of the whole thing was making sure the plate was straight, which it totally was. I did not put caulking underneath the brass plate because I do eventually want to change out the sink. And it does come with a really thick rubber gasket. So the pressure of the weight of the faucet versus the clamp that is really tied in onto there nice and tight. And then if I ever do get my dream farmhouse apron front sink, I won't have a big mess to take off. So that's how I chose to do this, and it worked just fine. I hooked the new faucet up securely. The weight was added to the line, and now I'm just going to turn the water back on and see if I did it right.
The moment of truth. I'm nervous. Hot, cold. That way. Guys, I love it. It's so pretty.
To the front of my sink, I have a handleless pullout that does hold storages of sponges and whatnot, but I don't like the lines that are on the front of it. So I'm just going to use some putty or some spackle, some something, and I'm going to fill it all in because I don't want the lines there. It's finally time to get some color on these cabinets, and I am going to start with my Sticks primer. One of my most favorite primers to use. It sticks to anything and anything sticks to it. What I like to do is use a roller on my cabinets. I want that super fine glass like finish, nice and smooth. So I am going to use a plastic bag and line my pan with that. That makes for super easy cleanup, even if there's extra paint in there. I'll show you at the end. It may not look the best, but trust me, this works perfectly. Now, when it comes to the cans and you open them up, another trick that I like to do is take a decent sized nail and once you get the lid off, hammer it through all along the lip of that paint can. What that does is when you pour your paint out and you bring it back, those holes allow that paint to drip back through into your can, creating less of a mess when you put your top on. There's less waste. It all goes back into the can and it is just an absolutely fabulous tip to remember. So it doesn't matter what kind of paint it is, any paint can that you open, use a nail, bang it through, and you will have an easy breezy cleanup every single time. I'm going to use my foam roller and some brushes, and I am going to get my first coat of my Sticks primer on these cabinets. I need to remove the hardware on the existing cabinetry and sand that giant mess down that I created on the front of the sink. It's not a big deal. It's not going to make too much dust, and it will all be contained basically to that spot and inside the cupboard, but I'll clean that after. Once I got the first coat of primer on the raw wood pieces and it dried, it actually raised the grain up and it was super, super rough. So I just took a 220 grit sandpaper and went over it. I wanted to smooth it all back down. The grain was raised so much, it just felt so horrible. You could even physically see the grain. That's how raised it was. So a quick go over with my sandpaper, and we are back in business with a beautifully smooth surface. After several hours of drying time, it was time for the second layer of primer to go on. So I got that on all of the cabinets again using my foam roller and a brush, and I'm going to leave that for the night to sit and cure. You need to make sure that the prep work on the cabinet is really done correctly. Otherwise, you risk the finish getting chipped and scratched and dinged, and you don't want to go through all this and have that happen. So, I want to make sure everything has the proper curing time, drying time, hardening time, whatever the case may be. I'm going to cover all of this with coat number 2 of my sticks, and I'll be back at it in the morning. Now, here's that little tip I told you about when it comes to lining your roller tray with the bag. When you're all done, you probably still are going to have some paint left in here. And by using a bag in the tray, all you have to do is release it from the paint tray itself, gather it all up into like a little ball, if you will, hang it over the paint, snip off a little corner of it, and it's going to pour perfectly all back into your paint container. You're not wasting anything. There's no mess. Look at how easy this works. Love, love, love it. Super, super awesome hack. Tuck this away in your brain and don't forget because it's going to make painting life so much easier if you remember this. Just look at that. Zero mess anywhere. When I'm done, I can just toss it in the trash.
Got my two favorite Rollingdog paintbrushes. As always, I want to thank Rollingdog for sponsoring today's video. I'm going to include a few links below to 3 of my favorite products that they have. Check them out, absolutely worth it. And now let's get this going. The color is Benjamin Moore's White Dove, and I went with the Benjamin Moore Advanced paint line. This is specifically made for cabinets, for doors, for trim. It's a more durable finish. It lasts a whole lot longer when you lay the right foundation under it. But it's just a much more durable product. It is an expensive product, but just because I'm doing a pocket change renovation doesn't mean I want to go the cheap way out with things. There are certain products that you really need to get the job done, and for cabinets, you really do need a cabinet paint. This is going to be a long-lasting finish and not something that I am going to have to redo in 6 months like my island. Just look at that finish on my island because I did not use a cabinet paint on there. There's no prep underneath it. This is what happens when you take shortcuts just to get the job done. It's not worth it. I waited about 6 hours after I applied the first coat before applying the second. This type of paint requires a little longer drying time, and I have no problem waiting. So I painted it early this morning. I waited the whole entire day, and then about 7:30 this evening, I went over everything again with a second coat of the White Dove by Benjamin Moore. That way, everything can sit overnight and really cure and really harden, and I should be ready to start doing the distressing and getting the hardware on tomorrow. So while this is curing, let's actually get to the hardware because it's not the right color and I need to change that. When I went to pick out the new hardware, the brass hardware I wanted wasn't available in the size I needed, but they did have it in the brushed nickel version, and I grabbed that. Now, I originally had thought that I could use rub and buff to change this, but that's just not going to work with this beautiful brass faucet. So I'm going to scuff the new hardware up. Kind of seems like a sin considering what they cost, but I want to make sure the paint is going to adhere to them because
I bought a hammered brass spray paint that I want to spray on these. So to ensure that I get a good bond onto these handles, I'm going to scratch the surface up, especially since they're handles and they're going to be grabbed at and touched continuously. I want to make sure that I have a very good bond. I have a great tip that I want to share with you when it comes to spray painting hardware, and that's if you have hardware that just will not stand up on its own and it needs some help in that department, using a toothpick to stabilize that handle in a piece of foam or in a piece of cardboard is amazing. That's just what I did here. I've got all 7 of my handles stuck with toothpicks, and I put that into a saran wrapped block of foam. I'm going to use that to spray them, and I don't have to worry about them tipping over. I have all of my half cup pulls laid out on a piece of cardboard, and I am just going to give these guys several light coats until it gets to where I want it to get. Honestly, it's probably going to be 3 or 4 coats of it, but who's counting? I'm not. I'm going to let everything sit for the night, and I will be back tomorrow.
So the next day, everything has dried beautifully, nice and hard, durable, and now it's time to have some fun and distress it. So I am going to use my amazing sanding contouring kit I got off of Amazon. I'll throw that link below for you. This is a really, really budget-friendly, great kit to have in your shop. You can get into any nook and cranny. It does everything. So I'll drop that link below. I'm going to use them and start distressing my cabinets out. Not too much. I'll have to stop and look at it, step back from the project, take it all in, and get it to where I want it to be. It is a process. It does take time. It's an individual taste and liking, and just have fun with it. Don't be afraid. It's only paint. I distressed all of the cabinets and I think they look absolutely fabulous. I'm going to give everything a quick wipe down, sweep the floor, and then I'm going to go over all of my cabinets with my Magnolia clear wax. I apply it on with my brush and I wipe it right off with a clean cotton cloth, and it just gives it this great durable finish that I absolutely love.
Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand. Wax on, wax off. Breathe in through nose, out the mouth. Wax on, wax off. Don't forget to breathe. Very important. I am obsessed with my new faucet.
and the French vibe that it totally brings to my design. This was definitely the element that I needed over here to really bring my vision, even in my own head, together so that I can start to see it unfold. Now, I told you I would explain the method to my madness regarding the different finish when it came to the soap dispenser. That is an oiled bronze. My faucet is brass. My sink is stainless steel. I am a huge proponent of mixing metals. When done the correct way, it can add a lot of character to a design space. It brings an element that you just can't get anywhere except for by mixing these different finishes together. And I think that that oil bronze ties in with the black line that runs through the faucet. Kind of brings it full circle, brings your eyes from one to the other, so it's not the only black feature on that brass faucet. Your eye can see the black line, but it can also go over to that black colored oiled bronze, and I think that's a really nice combo together. Now, I also ordered a gold stainless steel grid to go in the bottom of my sink. That's really going to pull your eye to everything, making all of those different metal finishes completely cohesive, and it'll make sense. You'll understand it when you see it. Your eye will come full circle to all of the elements that you can find in that faucet, you'll find in the sink. Now, my cabinets. The cabinets are now this beautiful warm shade of Benjamin Moore Dove White, and I love them. Finish is in satin, and I distressed them by hand using 120 and 220 grit sandpaper. Trust me when I say that way more than half of you looking at what I just did to these cabinets are going, ew, girl, that is not warm and inviting. I am not getting any French vibes from this whatsoever, and it actually looks horrendous. And I agree with you, but I'm smiling about it. I agree with you because it is the countertop that is throwing this whole vision off. This tacky, god-awful blue and white speckled Formica countertop. I hate the lackluster gray and white speckle. They just sit there and mock me because they know it's ruining my vision. But not to worry. As I stated earlier, I have ordered a kit that should actually be here in 2 days' time, and I am going to redo this counter into a countertop loaded with charm and character, giving it a faux finish that you will not believe is actually a faux finish. The best part about these counters is it's done on an actual realistic budget. Like a you, me, and the neighbors could definitely afford to take those yucky 80s Formica countertops and really transform them into something absolutely spectacular with a very, very high-end look. I've been fooling people for years with my island. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button, now would be a great time to do so, because the next time we hang out, I'll be showing you how to transform any surface into beautiful weathered wood grain, and you will not believe how easy and phenomenal the results actually are. Even with the help of my brother and my husband, I'm super proud of myself because I got that faucet and I got the ball rolling. It's there, it's beautiful, and I am obsessed with it. And I hope I've intrigued you with what the counter's going to look like versus what the cabinets now look like and the cohesive vibe it is all going to have. I promise you, all this is gonna look 1,000% better. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time on the flip side. Bye, guys.